to the ice. My first kind of take question for you here, looking at the goaltending of the St. Louis Blues, Ville Husso now leads the league in goals allowed per game at 1.90 and has the best save percentage at 94.1. Currently sitting at fourth in the Central. Do you think that his tending, so long as he keeps this up, is enough to get them back into that top three in the Central? Because in that conference as a whole, it's going to be tight for those wild card spots. So you don't want to be stuck in that pool of wondering how that your season's going to finish. Do you think that their tending is enough to get them back in that top three?
I mean, if we could see some sort of performance that we saw out of Jordan Binnington when the St. Louis Blues went on to win the Stanley Cup, being almost dead last place come January, and to go on the run, switch your goalie, and your goalie catches fire, and literally you ride him all the way to the Stanley. If he could pull something like that, sure, I could see them getting back into the top three, but I don't, just because of the sample size that Saros has played. Husso, he's only played 14 games this year, which is not a whole bunch. Granted, he is 9-3-2, so 66% win percentage. That's pretty good. But 66% of the games, if you win that the rest of the way out, you ain't getting into the top three. I feel like where this Blues team is going to come down to is their goal scoring, as they've been lacking as of late as far as being able to put the puck in the net. Yeah, I mean, earlier this year we were seeing 5, 6, 7 goals a game, and now, I mean, they did have 5 the other day, but their goal scoring as late has been, I guess it's only been really that good if they've had to play in shootout style games, like 6-5 against the Maple Leafs, 5-3. They did beat the Kraken 5-0 a while ago, but then they get pounded by the Flames 7-1. Then the next night they come back and beat the Flames 5-1. Like, they're too streaky. I feel like they're too inconsistent of a team. But a goaltender's job is to bring that consistency to the lineup so that the boys can, I guess depending who's in the net, you play a certain style of game. You just know the guy back there can stop those pucks. You know where you just kind of know how the game's going to go with who's in net. And yeah, I mean, all things are possible. It would be pretty cool if they did go on another tremendous run. And get back in there, but I don't see them cracking that top 4 spot as
well. They're in the fourth spot right now.
I meant the 3. Avalanche, Nashville, and the Wild are just too good right now.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, as good as their tending has been, I mean, second least amount of goals allowed in the Central. Which is one of the top, I mean, aside from the Atlantic, is one of the top scoring divisions, or I think the second best scoring division in hockey. Just overall, as far as top to bottom, how many goals are getting scored. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess I could see St. Louis going, like, maybe sneaking as a wild card, but again, how the cards fall when it comes to that. You're dancing with a bunch of teams when it comes that close at the end. But I mean, right now in the West, they would have a wild card spot locked up, as looking at the Pacific. Calgary's at 52 points. So they have a 5-point lead. Calgary does have 2 games to make up. So even with those 2 games made up, they still would have the lead over Calgary. But again, we're still basically half the season to go here for a lot of these teams as far as games played. like you said, it'd be cool to see them pull it off. But yeah, I agree with you. It's going to be hard to get past Minnesota, Nashville, Colorado with how well they've all been playing.
Yeah, agreed. And then on to my question for you here. Do you so Toronto for everyone, just a quick recap. Toronto ended up beating Calgary last night in overtime.
Carolina,
Yeah. Who did I say?
Calgary.
Oh, Jesus. 'Cause I saw the logo. Yeah, Carolina ended up beating Toronto last night in a shootout.
Toronto beat Carolina. I got you.
Toronto beat Carolina in an overtime yesterday. To get 2 huge points, as Carolina has kind of been that team who's been dominating the East almost at this point with games in hand. They're the big bad team. Toronto proving that they can win. Matthews injured early in the game. They found a way to win. Do you think this is the year that Toronto seems like they're poised enough to make it past the first round in the playoffs if they do get there?
I mean, early season, like, even till this point, just the success they've had this year, kind of sticking in the top of the Atlantic, still making some noise despite being in the shadow of Florida and Tampa.
Yeah, with games in hand.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of look at this situation, I mean, a lot like our Packers, as far as not being able to get over that hump of the NFC Championship. Of they have what it takes to get there, but do they have enough to get past that point? The more I like the last couple seasons, as far as just that curse of can't get past the first round, can't get past the first round, they don't make a lot of huge changes, really. I mean, they still got Campbell, they still got Matthews, they still got a lot of these same core guys that they're like, we got to keep these guys, like, and like couple pieces move here and there in the offseason. I mean, do they have the talent to get past? Of course they do. They have the talent to win a Stanley Cup, but I think that there's a strong possibility they come up short again, and we might see some new faces in Toronto next year if they don't make it. Because how long do you keep these kind of guys and not be able to get over that hump? You know what I mean? Like Matthews, like Campbell, as tough as it would be to get rid of those guys. Like, look at the Packers. How tough is it to get rid of Aaron Rodgers? It's hard. But if you can't get past that hump, you can only come up short for so long before you got to make a big change. So yeah, I mean, kind of looking at it both ways. Yes, they have the talent. Yes, they have the coaching, everything they need to get past that first round and make it to a cup. But if they come up short again, I think it's time that we see some changes in Toronto.
What changes would you make?
I mean, they kind of lean heavily on math. I mean, look, kind of like Edmonton leans heavily on Draisaitl, McDavid to get it done every night. Matthews is kind of that. I mean, they have other goal scorers, but he's kind of that standout guy where if he has an off night, Toronto loses. If he's skating like crazy, they get the win. So where you bring in a guy kind of like an Edmonton situation where it's not all on his shoulders, to where you have somebody else who can get it done alongside with him, and get rid of some of your younger guys that you might be trying to build around, to take that chance as kind of we're going all in for 1 or 2 years to try to go make a run for a cup. I mean, Campbell's been like very consistent. Yes, there's times where it's like, okay, yeah, he gives up a lot of goals on like a couple nights here and there or whatever. But overall, he's been one of the most consistent goaltenders the last 2 or 3 seasons here. I don't know. I mean, getting rid of him would be you'd have to bring in somebody who's obviously like better than Campbell, and you can only count, in my opinion, you can only count on one hand, maybe, guys who are better than Jack Campbell right now in the net.
And you ain't taking him from their team.
No. So, and again, unless you can get a lot of value back from Austin Matthews to where you get rid of him and get 2-3 guys who are good enough goal scorers to equal / do better than what he's able to bring to the table. I mean, like I said, those are 2 guys that you want to keep, but at the same time, how long do you keep them and keep coming up short?
Well, this team was originally built from 5 years ago when they drafted Matthews and Mitch Marner both. Those were the 2 young guys who were supposed to come in and change this franchise. They did, don't get me wrong. They've gotten to the postseason. They still got to that same point. They've added John Tavares from the Islanders, a huge pickup years ago. They've added all of the vets that you need to. Wayne Simmons from the Flyers, Jason Spezza, Jake Muzzin from the Kings, who's won a couple cups. Like they have the perfect, on paper, they have the perfect team to be able to go there. But like you said, if they play a physical opponent and not more of a skill based, which is the division that they play in, that Florida, Tampa, that Atlantic is more skillful than physical. If they get matched up against a Metro team that is physical, like the Hurricanes, the Rangers, the Capitals, they could be going home round 1. If they do get a luck of the draw and don't, this could be their year that they could go to the dance. As they are, them and the Wild are the hottest teams in the league right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, yeah, this, as you mentioned, like some of the moves they make, it's like if it pays out in the end, they're great moves. If it doesn't, like every
Because that's all they've
offseason,
built that's all they've done every offseason is add one guy, 2 guys, 1 guy, all different sorts of I feel like they've tried everything and they haven't fucking still got past it.
Yeah. Which again circles back to that point I started with, Matthews and Campbell. As hard as it would be to get rid of one of those, if not both, at what point do you move on?
It would be Mitch Marner would be the guy that they'd get rid of. He gets paid a lot of money, and in the playoffs, he doesn't perform like he does during the regular season. Let's just say that, as far as being effective and getting those points. Like there's some players who do average during the regular season or below average to what they normally get, and then the postseason, they're unbelievable. Point per game players. And then you have guys who put up 150 points during the regular season and put up 3 in the playoffs. Like that is, if Marner can kind of get out of his playoff shadow, whatever has put that upon him, whether that's the pressure of playing in Toronto. Yeah, I feel like he has been the reason. Matthews has done it all. He's done everything that he can. Like you said, they need that secondary scoring, and Marner's a huge piece. I really do see that they can move on from him if he has another shitty postseason.
Yeah. I guess that's somewhere to start without kind of cleaning house.
Because it is also one of your young guys who still has a ton of upside.
Mm-hmm.
It's worth a lot of money, and you could get a good return.
Yeah.
And you're not blowing up your team by getting rid of Matthews.
Yeah, exactly.
That concludes the end of our NHL segment for today. Please tune back tomorrow for all things NHL.